Hi everyone, and welcome to another I'm Just Saying on video. Today we're going to talk about sewing and repairing your own clothing items, and it's important to know how to repair buttons. So this isn't necessarily a button on a shirt, but this is the clasp that is used to tighten the top of a skirt. So right now it's come off of the top end, and we want to get it like the bottom end here. So I don't really know how to sew very well, but I do know how to fix my own little things. So I just get a needle and look for a decent color that will go with this, and I think the gray goes pretty well, so we're just going to use that. You get a good amount. I always get more than I need, but that's okay. So you cut it, and then you want to loop it through. Which sometimes takes a while. There we go. Loop it through the hole, and I always make 2 knots. Okay, so now we're going to just sew it up here. And you can kind of see the mark where it used to be, so you just want to get it aligned there. Start from the back and poke until you get it right in that hole there. Sometimes a bit harder than it looks. And if you're afraid of pinching yourself with a needle, don't be. I just did, and it doesn't really hurt. It might surprise you the first few times. Okay, so you want to pass it through, and you don't want to let it go too far because otherwise it'll be out. And then pass it through to the next hole, but from the top, from the outside to the inside this time. And now from the inside to the outside again, like you did the first time. Outside, inside. And inside, outside, each time alternating which hole you use, of course. Now there are some buttons. Oh, and if this mess comes up, I wouldn't worry about it too much. There are some buttons that have more holes, let's say 3 sometimes, usually 4 though. And in that case you can kind of do a pattern with it, like make an X on how it appears on the outside here, or just have it go crisscross, or just be messy with it. It doesn't really matter sometimes, especially if the string is the same color as the button, or as the button and the clothing. So I always make it a little bit more secure than I need to, but it really doesn't need all that much. You want to clear it of any obstacles, of course. And so I'm just going to go ahead and finish up right here, because that looks really secure now. And now here on the inside, really messy and ugly, right? But that's okay. I don't mind because nobody's going to see that. But I can try to fix it up a bit. And what I'm doing right now is I'm just going a little bit on the inside of it, but not enough, because this is pretty thick. It has, like, you can feel that there's an outside layer here and an and another one here. And so I'm just going through in the middle, but not going outside of it so it doesn't show up here. And I'm just collecting these loose strings together. There we go. Just pulled the end of it and that loop came out. Well, I feel secure with that now. So I'm just going to go into the strings here and make like a sort of knot with it. Now I'll take my scissors and cut so I have a good amount to make a knot with my hands. And knot up the two ends. Now, again, I've never learned how to sew properly. I've just kind of done this on my own. But a lot of my friends ask me to sew their things for them sometimes, like their buttons or little projects. So I guess it's good to just see how somebody else does it. And see, it's not very pretty, and it shows up quite a bit, but it serves its purpose because now I can clasp it together. No problem. It's very tight and secure. And unclasp it. No problem. See? Okay. And now, aside from buttons, we might sometimes have a little problem like this. Uh-oh. So these are my gym shorts. Or gym pants, I guess. And they're just loose right there, whereas everything else is sewed very nice and neat. I can't sew that neatly, but we'll see what I can do. So I'm going to start off with some white string this time, because you want to always try to match the string that you use to the piece of clothing. So I have this one prepared already. I'm going to bunch it up so that I can get there from the inside again to the outside. And you can just feel your way through, like, see, here's my needle now, and now I know where to go. That's pretty good to me. Don't want to go too far, but you can feel with your fingers on the inside where the string is. And inside, and for something like this, where you can't be flipping it back and forth all the time like I did with the button there, you can do this whole thing where you're kind of snaking in and out. And now my stitches aren't going to be as close together as the manufacturer stitches, but I'm not a machine, so I'm not worried about it. And I don't know how to sew on a sewing machine, actually. I would love to learn. And once I do, I might just make another post about this. But for now, you don't really have to worry about it. And I'm going to show you what this looks like. See, you're going to end up with all those stitches there. Nice and pretty. Just as if you had flipped it from the inside and out, constantly, but without having to. And I'm not worried about making the stitches the same because all I want is for my finger to not be able to go through, which is what I'm getting right now, so that's great. So I'm going to end up poking it through the inside and bringing it inside out so that I can see what I'm doing and create my knot. Here's the end of it. You want to make sure you don't pull and let it go through. So there's the end. I'm going to cut my string here. And I can't tie these two ends together like I did with the button because they're not close enough and it'll end up scrunching it up. So I'm just going to tie it right here on this end. I usually do 2 knots, but for time's purposes I'm just going to do it once, and then tie it on the other end, of course. You want to get it to the knot is as close to the bottom as possible, but don't freak out about it. And then it's always nice to cut the ends as much as you like, but not too close to the knot. See the knot right there? Just cut it, and don't worry about that because nobody's going to see it and you're not going to feel it. So that's it. Don't spend money on clothing repairs that are minor like this. Buttons and a few loose strings can be easily fixed on your own without having to know how to sew expertly. I mean, I'm just saying.